Hello, my friend. Welcome to this space. If you are a creator of any sort, if you create art, if you have a project that you want to bring to life right now, or if you just want to put out whatever is within you for the world to see it, but you feel blocked and anxious about this might be the explanation for you and the root of the problem, and therefore a great starting point for resolving all of this blockage and fear of being seen and fear of putting out what there is to say. All right, so let's go back in time to our very early childhood, to these moments where we have first come up with something that we want to put out. I think for most of us, this probably would have been drawing. So you really struggled to just hold a pen, and you probably held it like that. And you just had your piece of paper and you just scribbled colorful lines on it, whatever. Oh God. And for most of us, not for all, I hope, but for most of us, the reaction that we got from our environment has been, oh wow, that is so great. I love it. I love what you did here. Our first impressions of what happens when we put something out is that it is reviewed through an external lens. There is some other party, and they either like it or not. And of course, it is great if they like it. It is great if they love it. Very few of us have experienced the way I think it should go, being the parents or the caregivers in this environment, whatever you were at, guiding you towards giving yourself internal feedback, asking questions like, oh my God, that is so great. How do you feel about this? Do you want to tell me what you think about this? Are you proud of it? Oh my God, that is great. Tell me how you have come up with this idea. You know, guiding these little children towards generating a review from within themselves, so that they can generate self-worth, their selves, from within. And this is something that is so very important. It actually breaks my heart a little, because at this very early point in childhood, where you are really dependent on your caregivers, you learn that only through their external feedback you can generate self-worth, because this is the way it works. You put out something, some work of art, you go to them to show them, because you still do not really know how to react, you know? Emotional regulation is still a process you are completely involved into learning, you know? It's nothing that has fully developed in you yet. You go to your parents because you are not sure how you should react, and you kind of crave their guidance, and what they do is review it from their standpoint onto you. And this is what you learn about emotional regulation. This is what you learn in this case. An external entity will put a grading upon what you did. Whereas the way it should be is that you yourself can hold up yourself and your work and say, I think for me personally, this piece has this and that worth, because to me it means this and that. So this is where everything starts, and this concept will draw out and evolve into our school life. And our everyday reality is we put something out. It might not be artwork so often anymore. It is the process of learning, of accumulating information, of exploring and discovering the world, which is now graded from an external entity, being the teacher, the school system, whatever. And this program that has really started in your early childhood roots even deeper into your unconscious, because everything you do now, it is not even about passionate output, art and music and whatever that you do and you feel great about and you just want the confirmation of a parent, you know. It is now about everything you do. As a child, school is such a huge part of your reality. It takes up almost everything of your world. There is nothing beyond school, because the end of school is yet so far out of sight that you feel like you will never exit this place in this lifetime. And all of your free time is kind of consumed by it. You have your friends at school that you play with after school, perhaps in many cases. You have homework. Everything you do is always about school. People ask, oh, what's your grade? Do you behave in school? Blah, blah, blah. Everything in your reality seems to be about school. And everything you do kind of comes to you receiving a mark for whatever you did. And you internalize deeply into your in your unconscious mind that whatever you do, it does not count how you feel about this. It does not count what you think about this. It does not even count if you are proud of this, if this feels authentic to you. The only thing that counts is what external parties think of this and what score they put on this in this imaginary scale of marks and whatever reviews you got back at school. And now this concept is so deeply and intensely engraved onto us that we carry this with us into our adulthood and into our life. And there is this deep mindset that we carry around that everything we do, including output, like passionate artistic output, is always reviewed by an external entity. And not only that, but also that the score we achieve on this scale of rating is highly important to us, because it means that we receive or not receive something. May it be belonging in a group, may it be confirmation or affirmation of the people close to us. May it be an actual physical resource like money, or as a child, maybe, I don't know, some bony, whatever deal you had with your parents or whatever. And there is this deep fear within us that all of these positive things will cease once we do not score high on this scale anymore. And for many of us, this has even become true in childhood. Many of us have experienced punishment for scoring low on this imaginative scale. Not being allowed to go out with their friends, not being allowed, I don't know, phone time perhaps, not being allowed, or not receiving whatever bony they received when they scored high. So this fear just festers inside of you and grows larger and larger, that once the external review of whatever you do is bad or low, your very existence is in danger. because being robbed of unconditional love as a child and the support of your parents as a child really equals a fear of death for the nervous system in a little child. It really equals a stress that could be compared to someone running away from a bear with cubs or whatever. Yeah, so that is heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking. And we have all, most of us have all been through this. And this is a fear that till date lives within us to a certain degree. For some of us, it might be more intense. For some of us, we might have worked with this already, and it might be not so intense anymore, but I think many of us still have it, and still are to a certain degree ruled by it. And this is something we do not have to accept. We do not have to accept for our lives to be ruled by fear. Ruled by a fear that is forced upon us by a very much a fictional system and by very much inadequate behavior of our parental figures and caregivers. Disclaimer, this doesn't mean our parents meant bad. Most of the time they actually meant all the best for us, but sometimes it's just that you do not know better. You cannot do everything right, and all of the parents have their own weight to carry, so this is not to blame the parents. It is just to acknowledge for yourself, you have been treated inadequately by your parents, by this whole system of school, and everything in your environment as a child has told you that your internal feeling and your thoughts about what you do not count in comparison to the weight that this external feedback has. Yeah, and now this is our subconscious reality that we do not want to accept anymore because it stops us from actually creating. Because what happens in our subconscious is, well, what if this is not good enough? What will other people think? They probably think it's weird, it's very unprofessional, it's very this and very that and blah blah blah, and they will probably review it as low on score, and that will mean I will be robbed of unconditional love, I will be robbed of belonging in a group or a social environment. That means it will not make enough money, it will not make enough, it will not guarantee enough security in my life, on and on and on. Two ways lead out of this. And these are actually not really separate ways. They rather have to go hand in hand and kind of intertwine, and you have to choose them simultaneously. And sometimes take steps on this one and then take steps on this one again. And as a winding path, this will lead you out of this fear. First aspect of this is to acknowledge and see for yourself that this rating is fictional, that it has been inadequate of your environment to teach you a concept like that, and that it is way more adequate for us as people to learn, to review our work, and to generate our self-worth from within, so that everything we do is not filtered through an external lens, but rather filtered through an internal lens. Does this feel in line with myself? Does what I do, what I want to say now, what I want to do now, feel very true to me? Does it feel very in line with the person I know I am and I want to become? Not, is this professional in the viewpoint of person XY? Is this worthy of receiving millions of clicks? Is this worthy of being invested into, or whatever? It's not about external things. It's about, what does it mean to me? And through this movement, what also has to happen is that you stop this constant need of self-improving. Self-improvement is a great thing, and it is so great that we have the opportunity to use it in our time and space, because so many offerings about self-improvement are available for simply everyone out here on YouTube in form of books or courses or whatever. So many ways to self-improve, and this is great. This is a great way for people to heal themselves and to get out of their unhealthy patterns. But if this becomes too intense and you hide behind it, it is actually hindering you. You are telling yourself, no, I have to hold myself up to this standard before I can be the teacher I want to be. I have to become this and that enlightened before I can share my thoughts, because else I would preach and not practice, blah, blah, blah. And you take this self-improvement pattern to keep yourself from putting things out, because your fear says, we are not enough. We have to be more for us to make sure we score high, like in school. When you realized in a practice exercise, that you're not able to kind of get to the result you should get to, you become fearful and think, oh my God, I didn't understand this well enough. I have to learn more, whatever. This system of you do not score well enough, you have to do more, is so internalized that we now automatically do it with whatever in a life we're doing. So this self-improvement might just be a shield that your fear, and therefore your ego, which is afraid for this fear to come true, putting up for this fear to not come true. Because if you do not put out something, it cannot be reviewed, it cannot score low, you will not be robbed of whatever it is that you think you would gain through this. And it's heartbreaking, because this is the reason you're actually not doing what you really want to do, what you crave to do, and what you came here to do. Because you think that you have to become this good, that good to finally put it out. But here comes the plot twist. Here comes the plot twist. You will never score as high, because this shield is not an objective reality where you really have like a cutoff point. And once you step over it, everything will be resolved and you will say, oh my God, yes, now I'm ready and I will put this out into the world. It is a shield projected by your fear. And if you do not work with your fear will also be remaining in your body if you're here, if you're there, because the fear is what's putting up this shield. So whatever step you take, however good you become, it will never be enough. It will never be enough for this shield of self-improvement to fade, because this, it is generated by fear. And the fear will not go away by just improving. Yeah. The second path you have to take, because I was talking about these two paths, the second path you have to take is to learn how to generate the self-worth from within you. Because that is what actually will make the shield fade and dissolve. Because however good you become, the shield will remain when it's powered by fear. But however good you are, or not so good you are yet, if you are deeply anchored in your self-worth, there is no reason for you to fear external feedback. Because if you reprogram this truth of your output being reviewed through the external and rewrite the story for you, saying, no, my output is the purpose of my reality, and the only thing that counts in my reality, and for my purpose, of course, is the way I feel about this. If this is in line with me, if this is what I truly want to do, if this feels true and authentic to me. And if it does, you can feel, if it does feel true to you and you're actually doing it, there is this feeling like the things that have shifted around you, thoughts of fear, of confusion, whatever, they kind of start pendling around, and they come in line to this beautiful, clear concept of your life that suddenly evolves, because it is hard to actually feel what you're doing if you take the action, if you do it. For example, if you have to balance on like a slim surface, like on a little beam or something, if you have to balance on a little beam, when you're standing at on the platform and you see that now you have to walk across the beam, you are fearful. But as soon as you take the first step, this fear ceases, because you do not even have time to think about this fear. You have to concentrate everything you have on taking the right steps, balancing through your spine, adjusting with your arms. There is no time for your brain to focus on that fear. And in the same way, there is no time for your brain, or no necessity for your brain, to focus on the fear if you have already taken the step. Because actually, psychologically, your brain wants to keep you on track if you have committed to a cause. That is why, for example, in the phase of coming up with a goal and evaluating whether or not you should do something, you are open to any kind of information. You want to really think about if this is the right step to take, if this is reasonable, if this is true to you, whatever. You are open for all the positive feedback, you're open to all the negative feedback, because you want to find the balanced center where you can make an informed choice. But once you have made your choice, once you have set the goal, once you have set the intention, and actually begin walking this path towards this goal, your brain will be way more receptive to all the positive and encouraging feedback than it will be to all the negative feedback. This is because your brain actually wants to keep you on track. It wants to keep you on track. That means once you actually commit to whatever goal you have. In our case, this would probably be daring to put out what you have to put out. The fear will cease. It will not swirl around in your head like that. It will become calmer and calmer until it stays centered. It is not absent. That is nothing we can expect from ourselves in the snap of a finger. Is that how you say it? You know, in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye. It will not cease. We cannot expect such things from ourselves in such short amount of time. But it will become centered. It's not confusing you anymore. It is there, but it is silent. It is quiet. It takes the backseat. And you can be in line, centered and calm on your way of putting out whatever it is that you have to put out. Yeah, because your brain wants to keep you on track. First aspect. And second aspect, if you have committed to whatever it is that is in line to you and feels true and right to you, there is this feeling of purpose and this feeling of doing the right thing. And this feeling alone can create so much self-worth and so much certainty within oneself that it makes you very content with your work and with your life. And by that, also very resistant to negative feedback. Because, you know, it might be negative feedback, but to me, it feels right. So this is the same state as if someone would come to me and say like, oh my God, you look so dumb with your pink hair. It looks horrible. And I'd be like, okay. Think to myself, I clearly do not have pink hair. I don't know what's wrong with this person. You know, it's like it doesn't connect to you anymore because you are so sure of the truth that what you are doing is the right thing and you are actually doing it and it fulfills you and you are filled with excitement and this purpose and all of that. That the negative feedback will not connect anymore because there is nothing, there is no, you know, there is no hook where it can connect. It will just dip into nothingness. There's nothing for it to connect. So, yeah. To conclude, these are the two ways. First, you have to acknowledge that the reality you have been living in is not an objective truth. It is really the fault of the system and inadequate behavior of your environment, inadequate behavior raising a child, putting on it the feeling and the fear to always have to meet an external standard of rating, which is just, if you think about this, you wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's not even humane. It is taking away the identity from the child and giving other people the power over this child because they have the power to shape its identity. Good Lord, that is not the way it's supposed to be. And so you have to acknowledge for yourself, the reality you have been living in is not the truth. And you can detach from it. You do not need to rely on this external feedback. And this is hard. And, you know, it's not possible. That's what I said. It's not possible to take this path alone because how can you detach it if there is nothing you can exchange this external feedback for? Because clearly you haven't learned to create the internal feedback for yourself. So if you take that away, there's just no feedback at all. And you are just floating around space and thinking, where am I? So what you need to do is take this one path of detaching from the external feedback, but also the second path of creating this internal feedback. To find a thing that is truly aligned with you. Ask yourself whether the step you want to take feels truly right and true to you, authentic. Feels like an integral part of yourself that you cannot longer deny. But this alone would also not be possible because this external standpoint, you know, is so heavy. Because this is a program that reaches so deeply into our childhood, is so ingrained in the depths of our soul, that this is very hard to actually do when there's always this external force remaining. So you have to take the power away from this and fuel the power into this. You know, you have to take both of these paths simultaneously, and that is what will make your fear dissolve. Because your fear does not have to exist when the external feedback becomes powerless, and the remaining fear is replaced by such a certainty, such a self-worth that is generated from within you, that it is simply replaced by this beautiful blossom of strength and authenticity from within. And this is just beautiful. And this is the way it should go. And so when some child shows you its proud production of creativity next time, I hope you think of my words and you try to make this child think about what itself is thinking about, what it has created. Ask questions like, wow, like confirm that this is something great, you know, show excitement and love and say things like, wow, that is so great. But do not make it about you. Do not say I once in this sentence, you know, just leave that out of the equation and ask things like, oh my God, that is great. How have you come up with this? Mustn't you be so proud? Wow. Tell me about this, you know, and change this reality, not only for yourself, but change it for your environment as well, because this external entity rating us in these millions of fictional scales of grades in school and belonging in a elite group, or I don't know, clicks or views on YouTube or whatever, is just fictional and a product of our capitalism. It is not the objective reality. The objective reality is that you can be, and you are meant to be, the conscious creator of the space, shape of your life. Space and shape and reality of your life. And you, at every second in your life, have the power to be that by simply stepping up for yourself and saying, no, what I do is worthy because it has this and that meaning for myself. And this is the only thing that counts, because this is my life and this is my life's reality. And I am responsible to make this whatever it has to be for me to be happy, to be fulfilled, and to be content with myself and with my life. And in that lies tremendous beauty. So I hope this video finds you in a time of great potential. And I hope that you are growing into the person that you crave to be, and that you know you can be, and that you know you deserve to be, because I know you do. So have a wonderful time, and I am thrilled to see you next time again. So thank you very much for your time and energy. See you.